No one who's been woken up at 4 o'clock in the morning by flights into Heathrow will ever tolerate an increase in night flights. What we want is a reduction in night flights, and the Council's position on that is absolutely adamant.
725,000 people live under the flight paths to Heathrow. That is astonishingly 28% of all people impacted by aircraft noise right across Europe. If a third runway was built, an additional 150,000 people would be under the Heathrow flight paths. In other words, virtually 1 million people would be affected by noise from Heathrow.
The majority of residents on my side of the river are, I think, primarily concerned with the negative impacts of noise, which are very serious, mainly in takeoffs to the east when the wind is in that direction, and for a relatively small number of residents who are very close to the landing flight path, all the problems associated with that.
So Heathrow expansion would be wrong on almost every level, the most obvious being the cost to our quality of life. There are already hundreds of thousands of people whose lives are very badly affected by Heathrow noise, and if we allow Heathrow to be expanded, and we're not just talking about a third runway, we're talking about a fourth runway as well, I think that's accepted, potentially we're looking at doubling the number of people who are affected. Well, it's already the case, according to the CAA, that 30% of all Europeans who live in conditions which are intolerable as a result of aircraft noise live in and around Heathrow. It shows just how big an impact Heathrow has.
I believe that we can increase flights and reduce noise ultimately, but there is a legacy of a lack of dialogue, a lack of trust between the airport, the airlines and the residents. Where frankly I think a lot of residents don't believe what they're told. I therefore think we need some sort of structure as we go forward where the residents can have some faith that somebody really is making sure that we've capped the noise. We would see that as introducing some form of independent regulator who would trade off additional flights and noise. And of course there are going to be winners and losers in this, so certain flights will go over certain bits of the southwest of London and other flights different times, different places, so those sorts of trade-offs are all complicated and have a real effect on people's quality of life.